Rise up, O men of God. Do what you were called to do. Be valiant and strong. And know that it's going to cost you. You take your stand beside Jesus Christ and his cause, and you watch the devil come after you, buffeting you from the outside and from the inside. But that's what war is about. And so he has given us a great commission to pace a room at night saying, there is a place where he is not worshipped, where he is not worshipped. There is a place where he is not worshipped. I cannot sleep. There is a place where he is not worshipped. There is a place where the flag of Zion does not fly. That's what we were made for. To set aside our little temporal causes and to give ourselves to this one great battle.
All right, guys, this is Shock. I'm going to have to talk real fast. We've got a lot to cover. Welcome to Shock Radio, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys know, I am the atheist that actually read the Bible, the atheist that studied all about Jesus Christ, the atheist that looked at all the prophecies that have come true. So I am now the Christian that confesses Jesus Christ as the Son of God. Did any of you guys see the UN speech that Netanyahu gave? It was awesome. I would say, in my opinion, that he is the boldest leader in the world right now. Did you see when he stood up there with all the countries of the world there as far as members of the United Nations, and he said, have you no shame, when they sat there and listened to a demigod, or like I like to call him, a demidodo. So God bless Netanyahu to stand up there and tell the other countries that hate Israel, have you no shame. Now let's get into what is in the news today, and we'll talk about how you guys can survive a nuclear holocaust, what supplies you'll need. And, you know, we're all watching, I know I am, what if Israel strikes Iran? And there's about 6 different scenarios that could happen. Number one, Iran will close the strait, you know, where there's a strait where they ship oil. And a lot of people believe that that option is neither feasible nor advisable for Iran, because the U.S. would quickly overwhelm any effort to close the strait, and also Iran would be risking U.S. attacks on its land-based military. And number two, the second thing that could happen if Israel strikes Iran, Iran cuts its own oil exports to raise world prices. An Iranian embargo of its own oil exports would actually completely be the ruin of Iran's domestic economy, because it would deprive the country of hard currency. The third option that Iran could do is they attack U.S. forces in Iraq and Afghanistan. There's some Tehran hardliners that advocate this approach, but that would not be a good approach for Iran either, because doing so would risk direct U.S. retaliation against Iran, as many United States commanders in Iraq earlier recommended. There's a fourth option. Iran increases support for global terrorism. This Iranian option, especially stepping up worldwide attacks against U.S. targets, is always open, assuming, however, that Obama does not further degrade our intelligence capabilities and that our watchfulness remains high. The terrorism option outside of the Middle East is also extremely risky for Iran, because if Washington uncovers evidence of direct or indirect Iranian terrorist activities in America, even the Obama administration would have to consider direct retaliation inside Iran. So there's really only 2 more options. Number 5, Iran launches missile attacks on Israel. Now, because all the foregoing options risk more direct U.S. involvement, Tehran will most likely decide to retaliate against the actual attacker, Israel, using its missiles and perhaps Air Force capabilities. The 6th option, Iran unleashes Hamas and Hezbollah against Israel by process of elimination, but also because of strategic logic. Iran's most likely option is retaliating through Hamas and Hezbollah. Increased terrorist attacks inside Israel, military incursions by Hezbollah across the blue line, and most significantly, as we've seen before, salvos of missiles from both Lebanon and the Gaza Strip are all possibilities. Now, guys, I've been doing some research. You know how many atomic bombs are in the world today? Someone take a guess. They recently did a study, and they found that there's about 70,000 nuclear bombs in the world. So the chances of something going awry is pretty high. Do you guys hear in the news when Netanyahu went and he visited the Kremlin and he talked to Putin? You want to know what he was doing there? You notice how it wasn't really in the news, like, well, what are they talking about? Get this. Israel names Russians believed to be helping Iran build up their nuclear bomb. The Russians, you guys, are helping Iran build up their nuclear capability. So it's good to be prepared. It's good to know what to do in case of a nuclear attack. And a lot of people believe that, no, if we have a nuclear attack, it's just, you know, there's nothing you can do. Well, if you're a distance away from the nuclear attack, there are things you can do to survive. So what I would suggest is have a pen and a pad of paper ready, or when this show is over, if you miss anything as you're writing down different tips, different supplies you can get, download this show for free in MP3 format. So let's start the show. Let's talk about some information on how you can survive a nuclear holocaust.
All right. Well, let's get right into it, because the theme of tonight's show is surviving nuclear Armageddon. The big question is what to do if a nuclear disaster occurs. What can people do? And let's kind of go down a list. In other words, let's talk about a series of things, whether they should stay at home or not. What are the things they should first do, second do? Let's talk about food and supplies. Let's talk about water. Let's talk about shelter. Let's just go down through the basics, because these are the kind of things that would help people. Can we do it that way?
Sure. No, that'd be great. And right top of the list is make sure everyone in your household knows, especially your kids. You see a bright flash, you hit the deck and duck and cover. You know, wherever you are, and go ahead and stay down there for 20 or 30 seconds. I mean, just, you know, count it out and stay down there. And if there's going to be any blast wave, it will have arrived by then. And if you're close enough that you experience the blast wave, when you come out, if you want to move away from where the blast was, obviously, but as soon as you can see a mushroom cloud and you can see how the wind is shearing it, or you can feel which way the wind is blowing, you know, from the trees and everything, if you get an indication of which way it's blowing, you don't want to be going directly downwind away from it. You want to be moving perpendicular. You want to be moving left or right, not directly downwind from it, okay? And this is interesting, 40 miles downwind from like a 10-kiloton suitcase nuke-type bomb, if the wind is steady, 40 miles downwind, that fallout, that plume that's being deposited on the ground as it blows downwind, 40 miles downwind is only 4 miles wide. If you were right in the middle of it, and the wind's blowing 10 miles an hour, you'd have 4 hours to go ahead and just move 2 miles to the left or the right of it. You'd be gone before it got there. End of crisis.
Well, Shane, you know, and this is such an irony, because part of this, I think, is just good practical information, and as opposed to, there's almost kind of a mocking type thing in a lot of media. You know, you're talking about the old duck and cover. I was in school when we were taught to duck and cover, and then we went through this whole period of time where people actually make fun of that. Yeah, duck, cover, bend over, and kiss your butt goodbye, because it's not going to do you a bit of good if there's a nuclear explosion. What you're saying is absolutely not true. I mean, if you're in the epicenter, obviously you're going to be incinerated, but not very far from where a nuclear device could be extinguished. Ducking and covering might make the difference between life and death.